Moments ago, President Biden addressed the disarray in Afghanistan, telling ABC News' George Stephanopoulos that he did not see any way to withdraw U.S. troops without chaos ensuing.
When you look at what's happened over the last week, was it a failure of intelligence, planning, execution, or judgment?
Look, I don't think it was a failure. Look, it was a simple choice, George. When the Taliban, let me put it another way. When you had the government of Afghanistan, the leader of that government getting in a plane and taking off and going to another country, when you saw the significant collapse of the Afghan troops we had trained, up to 300,000 of them, just leaving their equipment and taking off. That was, that's what happened. That's simply what happened.
But we've all seen the pictures. We've seen those hundreds of people packed into a C-17. We've seen Afghans falling.
That was 4 days ago, 5 days ago.
What did you think when you first saw those pictures?
What I thought was we have to gain control of this. We have to move this more quickly. We have to move in a way in which we can take control of that airport. And we did.
So you don't think this could have been handled, this actually could have been handled better in any way? No mistakes?
No, I don't think it could have been handled in a way that we're going to go back in hindsight and look, but the idea that somehow there's a way to have gotten out without chaos ensuing, I don't know how that happens. I don't know how that happened.
So for you, that was always priced into the decision?
Yes.
Always priced into the decision. CNN's Kylie Atwood is at the State Department, but we're going to start with CNN's chief White House correspondent, Caitlin Collins. Caitlin, this doesn't exactly jibe with what Biden has been saying in recent weeks, because he has acknowledged that they did not expect the Afghan military to fall as quickly as they did.
Yeah, Jake, I'm a little surprised by that last comment there, saying that he did not believe there could be a drawdown that would happen without chaos ensuing. Because what we have heard from the president and his top national security advisors for the last several months, and especially over the last several days, is that they've been planning for every contingency for the last several months, dating back to that July 8th press conference he held explaining why he was getting out of Afghanistan. He said it was going to be a safe and orderly drawdown, and that is the way he's been framing this essentially since he confirmed in April that this is the decision that he was going with. He did not say back in April and back in July that this could be an incredibly chaotic, as we've seen now, the drawdown that has happened. So, of course, we'll wait to see the full interview and see if there's more quotes from the president on this and what this is going to look like. But it is kind of hard to see how those answers there are going to satisfy a lot of the Democrats, typical allies of this White House, or major U.S. allies that have been critical of the way this U.S.-led exit has gone down and what the last few days have looked like. And just one point of fact I'll note, Jake, when he was talking there about the plane that was crowded with so many people that was leaving, that military aircraft that was leaving the airport in Kabul, that was taken on Monday. And the president had said 4 or 5 days ago, but that was a picture, I believe, from Monday, Jake.
Kylie, our crews on the ground reported absolute madness at the Kabul airport, violence by the Taliban, gunshots fired into the air. Is there any sense of any kind of organized effort right now at the airport to prioritize getting Americans out of Afghanistan, getting these Afghans who are in the pipeline for these special immigrant visas out of Afghanistan?
Well, Jake, what we're watching is the State Department try and apply some sort of organization to a situation that is, frankly, totally lost control right now. This is not a program. These programs to get these Afghans out of Afghanistan who helped the United States, it wasn't a program that was designed to work in this pressure cooker situation right now. So what the State Department is trying to do is prioritize some of those folks, those who have already received these visas. They're telling them to head to the airports and try and get on these flights. Any American who is now in the country, the State Department is also telling them to head to the airport. They're saying that it's first come, first serve once they get to the airport. But, of course, there are key problems here, right? Getting to the airport. Now, the State Department says that they are aware of these reports of there being issues with the Taliban not allowing for safe passage to the airport. They're saying that they're going to continue to push them to do so, but they're also telling Americans that they can't assure them that they're going to get to the airport safely, even though they want them to go there. So there are a lot of question marks here around this whole operation. And I do want to point out that the State Department is saying that there are no reports as of now of any Americans who have had troubles getting through these checkpoints. So they are confident in that. But this is a situation that is evolving moment by moment. And so this is something that they are keeping their eyes on, surging resources to the airport to work on. But frankly, a lot of folks saying they should have done this sooner.
And Caitlin, President Biden, often, we've been talking about this now for several days, he wants to talk about the decision to withdraw all U.S. troops from Afghanistan more than he wants to talk about how this withdrawal has gone, how inept the exit has been. He's basically told Stephanopoulos, look, all this chaos was baked into the decision. I knew it was going to happen. But on July 8th, he said, the jury's still out, but the likelihood there's going to be the Taliban overrunning everything and owning the whole country is highly unlikely. That was last month.
Yeah, just a few weeks ago. And part of George's question there was asking, is this an intelligence failure? And I think that's something that a lot of people have wanted to know, because the questions have been, what were you hearing behind the scenes? Were you told this was a likelihood and you just did not heed that advice? What were those conversations like? And Chairman Milley of the Joint Chiefs tried to clear this up earlier by saying that he said there was nothing that he or anyone else saw that indicated a collapse of this army and this government in 11 days, saying that they did not predict what we are now seeing. And the other day, President Biden himself admitted that this happened a lot faster than anticipated. So I think that does raise a lot of questions about how they could not see this as something gone wrong and as a failure, which has been something that aides have been hesitant to say publicly. But privately, no one is saying that this went down the way that they believed it would, or certainly hoped that it would. They've talked about the issues with the best laid plans, often need adjustments, but no one has been behind the scenes saying, actually, this was a success. Instead, they've been focusing on what they're doing now to try to patch it up by getting everyone out of there. So clearly this matches with the tone that the president has had over the last several days. He is defiant over how this is happening.
And Kylie, this August 31st deadline that the Biden administration has set for itself for the U.S. troops leaving completely once again, it's arbitrary. They could change it. But assuming that they stick with it, what happens to any Americans who might not have been able to get to Kabul or the airport by then?
Well, it's a really good question, and it's one that we spoke about with the State Department earlier today. Basically, they are saying that they were telling all Americans in the country to get out of the country for months now. They're hanging it on the fact that they knew that things weren't going well, and they were warning those Americans on the ground to get out. They're now telling them to go to the airport. They are going to be first priority when they get to the airport to get on these flights out of the country. But what they're not saying is that they can definitively, assuredly say that all of these Americans are definitely going to get out of the country. And that is a frightening situation, right? But it is a reflection of the reality right now, which is that the fact that the State Department isn't able to say that they are in contact with every single American in the country by virtue of the fact that that program essentially rests on the Americans themselves to get in touch with the State Department so that they even know that they're there.
And according to a Senate source, the Biden administration briefed Senate aides and said when it comes to those Americans in parts of the country other than Kabul, they could provide air bridges, which is, I assume, a reference to helicopters. Kylie and Caitlin, thank you both. Let's bring in Democratic Congressman Jake Auchincloss of Massachusetts. He's a Marine Corps veteran. He commanded infantry in Afghanistan. He's now a major in the reserves. He supports President Biden's decision to pull all U.S. forces out of Afghanistan. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us. It's good to have you on the show. I want to get your reaction to that little clip we heard from President Biden telling George Stephanopoulos that the chaos that we have seen was baked into his decision, that he always knew it was going to be chaotic. He always knew that things were going to be bad. Do you agree?
Thanks for having me on, Jake. When this president took office, he faced a wrenching decision. He could go big or go home. He could double down and ramp up the U.S. military presence by an order of magnitude to enter a third decade of conflict in a failed counterinsurgency, or he could make the high-integrity decision to withdraw the forces. Now, withdrawal from a country whose moniker is the graveyard of empires was never going to be smooth sailing, and we're seeing that in real time now. But more importantly, we are seeing the U.S. military and this administration adapt to the fluid situation and resume both commercial and military evacuations as they've stabilized the airport.
So you agree that it was it was going to be chaotic. You can't just withdraw from Afghanistan and have there not be some chaos.
I think that we have focused a lot on the Taliban horsepower and the speed of their advance, but have not focused on the Afghan willpower. A 300,000 person army with a decent air force collapsed in a matter of days, and that type of morale breaking is an indication of a complete lack of leadership from Afghan central government.